Hello, beautiful people. It's another brand new day, and I'm super excited that you tuned into my podcast for today. Thank you so very much. It gives me so much delight each time you tune to my podcast, and I'm truly grateful. Thank you so much. And also to every one of my friends and well wishers out there who took our time to listen and also to share on their social media handles. I'm truly grateful. This act of yours means a whole lot to me, and I can tell you, you are doing a superb work. Thank you. I'm truly grateful. Your works are not. I'm not oblivious of them, and I know God will reward you. All right. On today's podcast, I'll be talking about. Today's podcast will take a cue from what we discussed last week. I remember my previous podcast, I taught becoming a person of influence, and I made us understand that influence is the capacity to have an effect in the character development and the behavior of another or something. And I made us to understand that every one of us have the capacity to influence our world. Just like salt, no matter how expensive the ingredients and whatever the spices you use to cook your delicious meal, if salt is not added in the right quantity, you see the taste of that food will be useless. To make us understand that every one of us, we have the capacity to influence others in no small way. Whether you be rich or you are poor or you are beggarly or you are disabled, every one of us have the capacity to influence our world. We have the capacity to influence systems. We have the capacity to influence the way people think. And I talked about the various types of influence. I made us understand that there is the negative influence, the neutral influence, the positive influence, and the life-changing influence. And the question will now be, how then can I become? The question now will be, how then can I become a person of influence? And that's what I wish to share with each and every one of us today. So do well to sit tight and take your pen and your pad and do well to jot down some necessary and vital points that will be of benefit to you and you'll be grateful for. I'll begin today with a quote from Dale Carnegie, which says, influence is no respecter of education or experience. It goes only with the one who will set aside his status, be it high and mighty, or low and lowly, and put himself in the place of another. So it is not a function of education. It's no respecter. It's one who is willing to put himself in the place of another. We are all creatures of influence, whether you know it or not, whether you are conscious of it or not. You are created to influence your world. Every one of us, we are created to, because we are so unique in our own various ways. That's why no two human beings look completely alike. That's why nobody have your fingerprint to tell you that you are unique, and that means the influence you bring to life is significant. No one can take your place. I mean it. No one can take your place. All right. So, in order for us to begin, I'll talk about 5 things we must do in order for us to become influential. 5 things we must do, things for us to know in order for us to become influential. Number one, content. And when I talk about content, I'm talking about your gifts, your talents, and your value. People will only respect you when they see the gifts and the talents that you possess. Miles Monroe once said, the key to influence is value. That is, the people will only accept to be influenced by you by the value you bring to life. And your value is the worth you bring to life. So the question now is, how valuable are you? Have you been able to discover and develop that gift and potential that is inside of you? Because your gift is your number one tool to influence your world. Whatever gift you have, your gift is what will distinguish you and will make your influence to be unique. So every one of us need to discover our area of gifting. What is that area that you have been, that divinity has placed inside of you, and that you, those gifts and talents, those things you do effortlessly, those inborn traits that you were born with, those talents, you need to discover, develop, and refine it. Because the key to your influence is your gift, and that's your content, the value you have, what you possess. That's what people will determine whether people will respect you or not. It will determine how people will value you. Musicians and entertainers, they are valuable, and they are so much valuable because they have discovered their area of gifting. And so you see that they have millions of people following them in their Instagram handles, and even in their Twitter handles, and even in their Facebook handles. Because why? They have discovered their gift, and they did not only discover it, they developed it and refined it up to the point that it became their selling point to their world. And so you see, their music and their way of thinking is influencing humanity. That's why for me as a person, I've made up my mind to become influential to my world, to discover and deploy every gift that is inside of me. The only reason why we value an apple tree is because of the seed in it, because of what we can get from it. So the key to your influence is what you possess, your giftings, your value you bring to life. Number 2, character. When I talk about character, I'm talking about your personality, your reputation. Nelson Mandela became the very first president of South Africa. Why? Because of his character. He had this notion that all men were equal, and so he made up his mind to fight for the equality among all, whether white and black, and that sent him to jail for about 27 years. And the moment he came out of prison, he was made the president. So your character speaks of the features that make you and distinguish you as an individual. So when we talk about your character, it's a sum total of what you do, your action, the things you do, the way you think, the way you behave, the way you act. So that's your character. The best way to influence another human being is by example. And as we all know, actions speak louder than words. Your behavior is influencing someone else. And so if you truly want to influence others, focus on acting right and doing right always. Your character and your personality will distinguish you from your peers. It's what will set you on the right path to fulfilling destiny. And if you are a person of sound and moral character, you will discover that people will be influenced by you, because why? You are unique. So when you accept a bribe in your office, it shows that you can be bought with a price. But people of sound and moral character, they cannot be bought. And those kind of people, they are the ones who have influenced our world up to today. They have changed the entire course of history. So be conscious the way you behave, the way you act, because your worth is determined by your character and your value. So people can see you, and so people will only do what they see. People will not just do what you say, but they will do what they see you do. They will act the way you do. Number 3, compassion. Compassion is the sympathetic consciousness of others' distress together with a desire to alleviate it. Being compassionate alone can help you influence a whole generation. And one of the persons that comes to mind when you talk about compassion and love is the person of Mother Teresa. She was not very rich, but because of her compassion towards sick people, she left her comfort zone and went to the village of Calcutta in India to save people, young children and that are sick. And you see today she's renowned in history because of what? Her compassion. How compassionate are you? How willing are you to help those that are around you? Because the thing is this: when you are willing to help those around you succeed, and you are compassionate, you are willing to help them go through whether they are in distress, and you have empathy, you have the ability to be sensitive to the needs of others, and you are able to help them out. You discover that you can influence those that are around you, and we are naturally indebted to those who have helped us. So if you are compassionate, if you have empathy for those that are around you, you become so influential to your world. Number 4, competence. Competence is the quality or state of having sufficient knowledge, judgment, skill, or strength. So it means to have adequate ability or qualities. So how competent you are in what you do will determine how influential you can be. Tiger Woods, for example, is so competent at what he does in golf that he's worth millions of dollars every year, about $20 million every year. Because why? He's so good at what he does. So how long have you stayed in that thing you are doing? Your level of competence will determine your level of influence. Your level of competence will determine your level of influence. So do not be here and there. Be willing to pay the price, because influence comes by paying the price. Pay the right price for knowledge, the right price to learn that skill, and not just to learn it, becoming a master of that skill. Becoming a master of it will determine your influence. It is a source of influence. Competence. How competent are you? Number 5, consistency. I want to talk about consistency. I'm talking about dedication to a cause. It is marked by harmony, regularity, or steady continuity. Consistency shows conformity to character, profession, belief, or custom. You not only influence people by what you do once, you influence people by what you do on a consistent basis. On a consistent basis. You influence people by what you do on a consistent basis. Your consistency in that area of gifting, in that area of interest, will determine influence and will enable you to become so influential that you can never be ignored when you enter into an environment. I will end today's podcast with a quote by Dr. Miles Monroe of Blessed Memory, which says, "Influence is earned over time through the consistent commitment and dedication to a personal goal, a conviction, a discipline, or a cause at the expense of self-preservation." Thank you very much for listening to my podcast for today. Do well to comment, like, and share in your various social media handles. I remain your host, Andrew Olugbo. Thank you very much.